Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, get ready for what is about to blow. This is going to be the biggest thing. I swear to God, guys, this is going to be the biggest thing that you've ever heard. I don't know what it is, but I know where it is. So we're talking about the royal family, the collapse imminent. Now, the more you look into this, and again, there has been a media blackout. I'm going to read to you guys. I'm going to read to you guys a statement, the statement actually from the royal statement, basically, whereby the royal communications are disowning Prince. Well, he's not Prince Andrew anymore. He's just Andy Windsor. And look, guys, this normally happens when something big is about to happen. So I don't know if you guys know how this works, but the media have, when you're like a mainstream media outlet, you have to sign certain documents and certain things you're not allowed to report on. So I'm just going to speculate that behind the scenes there's some sort of super injunction, and that super injunction is about to be lifted. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what a super injunction is, a super injunction is something that the media are not allowed to talk about. Not only are they not allowed to talk about it, they're not allowed to even mention that there is a story around that. So, for example, when the 20,000, was it 20,000? When the Afghans came over and the British and the government were shipping them in secretly, the government, the media were not even allowed to talk about this. So what I'm saying right now, all hell is about to break loose, guys, in Britain. All hell is about to break loose with the royal family. I think this is going to go a lot deeper than people even conceptualize. So I'm going to read you guys the royal statement. I'm going to read you guys the BBC. And then very paradoxically, I'm going to read you guys a post from Eric Weinstein. Now, look, guys, I'm a science nerd. I'm a total science nerd. Eric Weinstein is somebody I follow. I love listening to him. I think he's a great guy. He's a really intelligent guy. I would actually I think he's the most intelligent man on the planet right now. So, look, guys, let me just get on with this. In fact, let me put a chat on, actually. Let me just begin, ladies and gentlemen, by saying this. I've said in previous videos that I don't think we're going to see another monarch. I've said it, many videos. I don't think that we're going to have a King William. I don't think that's going to happen, guys. I think King Charles is the last monarch of Britain. That's what I've said. I've said previously. People thought I was wild. You guys thought I was wild. When I said that the United States was going to take over Britain, people thought I was wild. But look, and people were saying, Sean, how can the United States take over Britain? We have a monarchy. And well, you know what? If the monarchy is going to be gone in 6 months, here we are. Right, I'm going to read you the statement, guys, okay? So this is the statement. I believe it's credible. It may be, I don't know. Lots of people are sharing it. Royal Communications, Thursday, the 30th of October, 2025. A statement from Buckingham Palace. Sorry, guys, I've just been shouting. His Majesty has today initiated, in fact, let me make that a bit bigger. His Majesty today has initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles, and honours from Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew will now be known, sorry guys, Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His lease on the Royal Lodge has, to date, provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease, and he will move to an alternative private accommodation. Is he going to be in a HMO? Is Prince Andrew going to be in a HMO? No, is Andy Windsor going to move to a HMO to find alternate private accommodation? These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. So they're giving you a little glimpse of why they're kicking him out. Their Majesties, i.e. the King and Queen, wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. What do we think, guys? What do we think is about to break? What do we think is in there? What do we think is about to get lifted? This is wild, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely wild. I believe this is all connected. And look, let's not forget that Jimmy, what was his name? I was going to say Jimmy Carter. It's not Jimmy Carter. Jimmy, and you know, HRH. Those guys used to be bros. You know, those guys used to be bros. And look, I'm not insinuating anything. What I'm saying is, the two options are simple. Either HRH didn't know what was happening and it was happening right under his nose, or he knew what was happening and he was involved. So I don't know which one of those it's going to be, guys. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're on now. Can you guys do me a real big favor? Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, all those things that help this channel out, guys. This is going to be wild. When this breaks, guys, this is going to be absolutely insane. The main bit here is at the bottom. So what I can take from that statement from what I can take from the statement from Buckingham Palace is the end bit is the most important to me. Is the most telling, actually. It's all important. The end bit is the most telling. Their Majesties wish to make it clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any forms of abuse. Guys, I'm telling you, I did a video yesterday about this, and as soon as I heard this, I did a video on TikTok. In fact, I think my ban's over today. I did a video on TikTok yesterday about this. You know, this is what happens when something big is about to blow. It is damage limitation. And also, I looked at the YouGov polls. Andrew Windsor's rating is 13%. So he's like only 13% of the country, you know, give him confidence. 13%. Keir Starmer has 12%. I'm just putting it out there, guys. I'm just putting it out there that Keir Starmer is more hated than people have less trust in Keir Starmer than they do of Andy Windsor. Debbie Doobs is saying this goes further than Andy. It's rife in the Royals. Debbie Doobs, listen, I am going to speculate, actually. I'm going to give you guys wild speculation. I always give wild speculation. I think you're right, Debbie. I think we're about to see this cracked open. And let me know what you think in the chat, guys. Do you think that the royal family are doing damage limitation right now? Or do you think they're doing the right thing? You know, which one of those do you think is damage limitation? Or do you think they're thinking, do you know what? We don't care how bad this hurts the royal family. If this guy's bad, we need to get him out. Which one of those do you think it is? I'm going to go over to the BBC now, guys. I'm going to see what the BBC are reporting. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the BBC is a massively biased news organisation. Massively biased. Excuse me. So the headline is, Andy Windsor loses Prince title and home as Virginia Giuffre's brother calls for further investigation. Prince Andrew is being stripped of his Prince title. Well, he's not Prince anymore. He's just Andy Windsor. And will leave his Royal Windsor Mansion, Royal Lodge, Buckingham Palace statement. So they've given the statement there as well. In fact, let me just confirm that. Give me a second. The King's brother, now known as Andy Windsor, will move Andy Windsor. You want to go for a pint with Andy Windsor, don't you? Andy, you coming for a pint, mate? Oh no, I've got some online business to do. Oh. So the King's brother, now known as Andy Windsor, will move out royal estate in Sandringham, Norfolk. Andrew gave up his other royal titles earlier this month, including the Duke of York, after more questions about his private life. Guys, I promise you, this is going to break. This is about to break, and it's going to be a lot bigger than anyone can possibly imagine. Anyone. Like, where you're sat now, get ready, because when this breaks, what I think is going to break, and look, guys, I have been down these rabbit holes. I've been down these rabbit holes about what happens to children. I've been down these, adrenochrome rabbit holes. I honestly, guys, it all sends you back to, it all takes you back to the same place. Yeah, so he gave up his royal titles earlier this month, including the Duke of York after the Grand Old Duke of York. He had 10,000 after more questions about his private life. In a posthumous memoir, Virginia Giuffre repeated allegations that as a teenager she had the thing with Andrew on 3 separate occasions. Andrew has always denied the claims. I don't think I don't think this is what's going to break, guys. I think there's more to this. I don't think this is all happening because of this book. What I think is happening is behind the scenes. I don't know where. I know the direction. There's a story, and the media have said to the royal family, look, we're going to break this, but we're going to give you, you know, out of respect, because you're the royal family, we're going to give you 3, 6, 12, I don't know, X months to get your house in order, and then we're going to break the story. That's what I think's happening, guys. And for a story, for something of this something of this magnitude, you can only imagine the actual size of this story, guys. It's going to rock. It's going to rock the world, guys. You know, it's going to rock the world. You know, like I've always said, I'll come on to this in a minute. You know how Epstein was trafficking children, allegedly? I don't even, is it allegedly or is it being proven? I don't know. Let's go back. Let's backtrack a little bit. You know how Tulsi Gabbard the other day, she came out and she said, there are people, what's her name? La Diablo or something, La Diabla. But basically, the Mexican woman that I think they've arrested, what she does, this Mexican woman, and it is brutal, guys. I'll send you a trigger warning. What this Mexican woman does, again, as per Tulsi Gabbard, and when she was giving this statement, she was sat right next to Donald Trump. And he's nodding his head saying, yeah, that's true. So take that as high authority. So Tulsi Gabbard came out the other day and she said, listen, we've stopped this woman and she removes babies from pregnant mothers. She removes body parts and she sells them. And the first thing I said was like, wow, are we just admitting now that there's a market for babies' body parts? Are we just admitting there's a market for that? And straight away I'm like, right, okay, so who's buying those? That's your next logical question. Because it's all right going to the shop and saying, right, I don't know, stop selling this. If people keep wanting to come and buy that shit, they're gonna, you know, there's gonna be somebody selling it. I mean, look, guys, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go wild, right? I'm gonna go wild right now. Are David Icke and Alec Jones right when they say that the world's run by reptilian overlords? Is that where we're going now, guys? Are we actually going there? Are we actually seeing this unfold in front of us? That's a hard sell. That is a hard sell. But anyway, so going back to Epstein and Epstein Island, or whatever it is, was he just trafficking to himself? Like, what was that network? What was exposed? Where does this go, guys? Okay. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I do think all of this is about to get unrevealed, and it's going to be wild, guys. It's going to be wild. Virginia Giuffre's brother, Sky Robert, welcomes the King's move against Andrew, but tells the BBC it's not enough. We have to have some sort of investigation that goes further into this. Look, guys, what's coming is going to be absolutely wild. Right, let me have a look at the most breaking updates. What will happen to Sarah Ferguson? I don't even know it's his ex-wife. Andrew, okay, hang on. Andrew's name no longer appears on the official, so this is from 12 minutes ago. So it's breaking, guys. Andrew's name no longer appears on the official roll of peerage. Dukes are listed on this roll, which is maintained by the Crown Office. David Lammy, as Lord Chancellor, is responsible for maintaining the role. Sorry, guys. Every time I hear David Lammy responsible for something, I do get a little chuckle. As a reminder, Andrew voluntarily gave up his Duke of York title earlier this month as pressure mounted. He has been stripped of his Prince title in a decision announced by Buckingham Palace yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining for the first time, get ready, batten down the hatches. Andy battened down the hatches, because this, when it blows, guys, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Could Andrew get money back on Royal Lodge? What a stupid comment. Key pieces of information was the re-emergence of an email appearing on the newspaper front showing that Andrew had stayed in touch with Jeffrey Epstein later than he promised his BBC Newsnight interview. What was damning about that was that it cast doubt into his account of the relationship with Epstein, and that seemed to have made a significant difference in the palace's attitude. Months after he claimed to have cut links with Epstein, they were still emailing each other. Oh, yes, no, you sent the last email. No, you sent the last email. Except that email message to Epstein, play some more soon. Well, okay. It had been published in court documents as part of a Financial Conduct Authority case. Guys, I tell you, you know when you're doing these investigations, you're trying to find out. Oh, hang on, let me take Debbie Dube's comment off. Sorry, guys, I was on a side quest. But I think it's still fair what Debbie Dubes is saying. This is going to go a lot further than what people imagine. You will be investigating something different, and something won't add up, and you'll think, oh, hang on a minute, why is that there? And you never find the smoking gun that leads you to the smoking gun is never a smoking gun. It's always something menial. And somebody looks at it and thinks, hang on a minute, I don't know. Why was that payment made there when they said they didn't sell that until then? So then you look into that and you start to uncover documents and you're like, oh my God, this goes a lot bigger. So Andy Windsor, as we call him now, Big Andy Windsor, he's quite tall, isn't he? Big Andy Windsor's reputation has been steamrolled by Andrew Loney's biography entitled, which drew much adverse attention, the then Duke of York. Another book by a memoir by his accuser, Virginia Guthrie. Remember, guys, very strange how Virginia Guthrie died. Also very strange how Epstein died as well. Had put Andrew's links with Epstein back into the spotlight. An email from his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, had showed that she stayed privately in touch with Epstein. Oh, so his ex-wife? That's weird. Guys, I'm reading this for the first time. This is on the BBC. An email from his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, showed that she... Is that a typo? That he stayed? I think that might be a typo, guys. An email from his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, showed... Well, it says it's on the BBC and it says she. Let's read it and see what it says. Says that she stayed privately in touch with Epstein, prompting charities to ditch her as patron. Okay. I'm reading this for the first time. I didn't realize that. So Sarah Ferguson also stayed. Guys, honestly, this is going to go a lot deeper than people have any idea. And if you're sat there now and you're trying to understand what's coming, and when that information comes out, you're not going to believe it. You won't believe it. When that information comes out, you will want to not believe it. Because all your concepts of reality, all your cognitive decisions and your decision-making skills have been based on a set of fundamentals. And that is honestly, guys, people's minds are about to be blown. Political pressure in the US to release more Epstein documents again raised questions about his links to Andrew, good old Andy Windsor now, guys. That's what we call him, Andy Windsor. With new details of Andy Windsor's flights to Epstein's Caribbean island. Cumulatively, it created a sense of that something had to be done. Would the king try to stop it? Right. Okay. I'm not gonna continue on that, guys. I'm gonna get the chat, and then we'll get on to what I think is a bigger story. Although it's not. I think it's more telling about Eric Weinstein, what he posted like 43 minutes ago. Good morning, everybody. Right. Let me jump and get some chat, guys, because this is about to go, guys. It's about to go stratospheric. It's about to hit the, it's about to go stratospheric. So John's got strong opinions, guys. Let's see what's Donna saying. Donna, where is Donna? What's Donna saying? I can't find Donna's comment. I think I don't. What did Donna say? So Donna is saying, hello, good morning, Donna Hogan. Donna is Hogan, wonder if he's going to get a 9 till 5 job to make ends meet, or if he'll still get paid from the taxpayers and royal family. I think, look, when we understand, whatever is about to get released, I don't know what it is, but whatever is about to get released, I don't think the royal family are going to survive, guys. That's my thoughts. I've said it a long time. I do not think we're going to have a King William. I think King Charles and the royal family, I think they're going to be over. Once this comes out, and once people start digging, because you can't hide this information anymore. You can't hide this, you can't hide anything anymore, guys, right? There's always a trail. There's always a paper trail somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And once those breadcrumbs start appearing, people start saying, oh, hang on a minute, I remember this, right? Andy's bad. John, come here, mate. Can you remember the files in the Caribbean about those flight logs and those unexplained incidents? Yeah, get them up. Right, check this with this flight log. Who was there? Oh my God, they were there. Then they released that information. I'm just speculating there, guys. And then that information, they're saying, oh, look, these 2 incidents happened at the same time while all these people were in relative proximity. Right, okay. Let's look deeper into this. And that's how these things come out, guys. Right, I'm going to read you guys a post. I don't know if you follow him or not. I don't know if you follow Eric Weinstein. I think he's smarter than Einstein. He's got a theory of geometric unity. I love listening to him. He's a really intelligent guy. I love his content. Anyway, he posted this earlier, and it kind of ties into some of the things I've said. In fact, it definitely does. So I quote. I'm quoting directly from Eric Weinstein now, guys. Okay. The position of most news organizations explaining their low interest in Epstein has been that this is mostly a non-story, an internet meme spun out of control. I've maintained for 20 years that this was about a lot more than sex. This was a major operation of some kind. Lastly, this was just, well, hang on. The stripping of former Prince Andrew's titles show to our news organizations that this story is real. Mere internet memes don't bring down princes. Absolutely, guys, okay? A few allegations about a potential interaction between a prince and a girl that was over the age of consent, that does not bring down a royal family. That does not bring down a prince, guys. It's got to be a lot bigger. We are going to find a collection of different sub-major operations, and one of them is going to be about gravitational physics. Wow. At some point, this story is going to stop being principally about sex and is going to be principally about Jeffrey Epstein. It's going to be about sources and methods of an extremely large transitional covert operations hub protected by state secrets privilege. Do I know this for sure? No. I am ideally speculating. Am I idly speculating? No, I'm lodging a crisp prediction with high conviction. The story appears to be moving backwards from deniability rather than forwards from evidence. It would be too easy to break this story. The participation of editors, all leading news organizations, is way too high. Too many reporters have started reporting on this story, only to be shut down quite late in their investigations. Trust me on this. The level of personal credibility being lost in pretending nobody cares cannot be explained without even larger incentives to play dumb. This is going to be partially about the state's interest in gravity, physics, and science. So this is what he's saying, guys. This is wild, okay? So what he's saying is Prince Andrew being stripped of his royal title is going to be in the interest, when it all comes back, it's going to be the interest in gravity, physics, and science. So the Epstein Island is all going to be connected to gravity, physics, and science. And then you want to keep going back, guys. You come to Aleister Crowley. You come to Aleister Crowley, guys. This is going to be wild. And people are not going, people will have no, like, people, like, when you're, look, guys, if you're watching me right now and you think Sean's gone mad, I've not. I understand a lot more than I let on because, you know, you've got to keep these videos entertaining. You've got to keep them light because people will switch off. But trust me, guys, there are dark forces at work here and people have found out how to manipulate those dark forces. And unfortunately, you go down this rabbit hole, guys. You come to Haitian voodoo. You come to what the Incans used to do to people in the big temples, and it is dark. It's dark. And at some point, we're going to have to accept that this is a new reality, and this reality is operating in the same reality that we do. I know that's wild, guys. This is going to be partially about state interests in gravity, physics, and science, and national security. Not for the life of me, I can't figure out I can't figure out the specifics. If I had to guess, this is Eric Weinstein. Now, I love Eric Weinstein. I really respect him, so I am reading his full post. If I had to guess, and this is much lower convictions than the preceding, the US government will eventually at some point be forced to switch strategies to pivot ultimately to invoking SSP to stop the bleeding. Ghislaine Maxwell will be pardoned. There will be some vague mention of internal closed doors, hearings and investigations. There might be an executive order that minors can never be used in covert operations. But the absurdity of tracking girls to no one. So that's what they're saying, guys. He's talking about the absurdity of Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, he's a people trafficker, but he traffics them to no one. He just takes them to the island and he gives them, like, I don't know, insert whatever. So he's talking now about the absurdity of the Epstein case. 1, trafficking girls to no one. 2, a non-story that brings down princes. Near zero news interest that obsesses an entire planet with claims that no one cares. We all moved on. 4, claims that we have mountains of evidence that somehow also don't exist. This is going to collapse under self-contradiction. The credibility loss alone is unfathomable. Lastly, this was just a bad operation. It caught ordinary people in its web. I believe Epstein's masters wanted to fund me. Guys, it all comes back to science, alternate dimensions, and energy invocation. That's where I think it's coming from, guys. That's where I believe this is all about. That's what I believe it's all about. So this guy, Eric Weinstein, is saying that he believes that the people who were in charge of Epstein wanted to fund him, but using a bank to funnel mathematics into bizarre alternate reality to indirectly fund him via book deals or hedge fund allocations is stupid. Epstein didn't know low-dimensional gauge theory. I promise you that. But someone in his operation did. And whoever that was knew that self-Joule Yang-Mills theory. I don't know the self-Joule Yang-Mills theory, guys. Was, despite the name, a lot closer to general relativity and gravity than its Yang-Mills theory and the standard model. That was exceedingly rare knowledge to have for a Delante. I think he's calling Epstein and Delante there. Still, even for an expert, it's a huge clue. This isn't principally about sex or Epstein. It's about a bad covert operation hub that may have been well built for secrecy, but couldn't survive the modern internet age. And I believe it's about state interest in gravity, among other things. Guys, I didn't mean to blow your mind there. I didn't mean to blow your mind, but I really respect this guy, Eric Weinstein. If I see an Eric Weinstein video, I will listen to it. I will watch the whole thing. I really respect him. He's a really intelligent guy. And he's claiming that this is not about sex. It's not about, this is about gravity. And I would say that as well. I often say, like, why is gravity so small? Why is the force of gravity so weak? I think gravity's been leaked off into an alternate dimension, and that's why it's so weak, because that gravity is funding, gravity is not funding. Gravity is being leached off into alternate dimensions. Anyway, guys, listen, I am going to jump back on track. If anybody wants me to go more about Eric Weinstein, let me know. But like, this is wild, guys. This is absolutely wild. Like. When I said at the beginning of this video, when this breaks and when people understand, when people you're like, what? If you guys want to look into this, if you guys want to look into who started NASA, it wasn't NASA, actually, it was the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It was a guy called Aleister Crowley. Now, Aleister Crowley was a dark, dark man. They used to do something called sex magic. And there's certain words I can't use, guys. But if you want to look into what Aleister Crowley used to do, and he used to invoke energies and dark energies, look how successful that's been. So there's got to be something in it. That practice, guys, if you understand what I'm talking about, it's kind of like a code. I can't say the words. But if you understand what I'm talking about, you understand that this practice has been going on since the beginning of recorded history. And it's dark. But it's been going on. So why has it been going on since the beginning of recorded history? Right, guys, I'm going to jump over and get some comments. Fiona Flynn, I believe so as well. Fiona Flynn, I believe this is all. Connected. Yes, I do. I believe it's all connected. I believe all these things are for the same purpose. I believe the same people who are buying those things are the same people who are involved in this. Right, let me just get some comments, guys. Bit off subject, but Trump suggested doing a live nuclear test in Nevada again. Nevada says no way. Yeah, so with these nuclear tests, ladies and gentlemen, and again, it's all connected. I believe the same people that say that you can't have a nuclear weapon. Look, guys, I believe that same people who say that you can't have a nuclear weapon are the same people who understand gravity manipulation. Because when that nuclear weapon goes off, the energy release, I believe it affects the alternate dimensions. So I don't think we're going to see another one. Belfast and beyond. Sorry, guys, I've got a bit of a hoarse throat. Belfast and beyond. Diana, I'm assuming you mean Princess Diana, didn't get justice, but I'm sure wherever she is, she played a part in exposing Andy. That's just her justice. God bless her. Donna is saying Jeffrey Epstein Island, Little St. James, and Great St. James are now owned by billionaire investor Stephen Deckoff. I'll have to have a look at that, guys. I don't. Hang on. But I just want to come back to Fiona's comment here. So Fiona Flynn is saying, Sean, would this all have anything to do with the harvesting of organs? And I think it does, guys. You know, if you look, guys, do you know who Aleister Crowley is? So Aleister Crowley, he was, I think he was Scottish, actually. I don't even want to Google him. So Aleister Crowley was he was an occultist. He traveled, he bought a house. He bought this house in Scotland, and he did some dark stuff in that house. All I'm going to say is it involved animals, women, and a lot of energy. That's all I'm going to say, guys. You know. But then Aleister Crowley went over to America to Pasadena. And he was one of the founding members, or he started the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Now, if you want to go even deeper into this, guys, you know, the Germans, they were channeling similar energies. You know, they were, again, you guys, well, they are claimed. Whether you guys want to believe it or not, it's totally up to you. You know, you don't believe it or not. I'm going to finish this little spiel, guys, and I'm going to hit back on facts. What we can actually physically see with our three-dimensional eyes. The Germans, before the Second World War, you saw what was it called? The German painter. He had a little retreat, a mountain lodge, and when he used to go there were psychic women. And they were working for him, and they were channeling information for him. That's what they're claiming. It's called the Vril Society. I'm going to say it's the same thing. I'm going to say that after Operation Paperclip, so for those of you guys who don't know, Operation Paperclip was after the Second World War, the Americans, everybody basically, they got all the German technology and they stole it. They said, right, well, you can either get sent to jail for being a German bad guy, or you can come to the United States and work on our, space system. The biggest example of this is Wernher von Braun, who built the Saturn V rockets that went to the moon, allegedly. Now, here's a question for you guys, all right? Let's just consider that information is correct, all right? When the Americans went over under Operation Paperclip, and they went to this lodge, and there's all these women walking around with long hair, and they're like, "Oh, what do you guys do?" And they're like, "Oh, we're the psychics." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, we're the psychics. We channel information from an alien race and tell them how to build rockets and weapons and stuff." He's like, "Oh, do you think they left them there? Do you think they said, 'Oh, yeah, we're good actually. We don't need you,' or do you think they brought them over?" And if you want to go deeper into this, some rumors that George Bush Sr.'s wife, if you could call him a wife, was Aleister Crowley's child. Anyway, look, guys, let's not go down that rabbit hole right now. Let's not go down there. Let's stick with facts. Let's stick with the facts, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Let's stick with the facts. Let me get this back up. Right, let's get back on track, ladies and gentlemen. The royal family is in free fall right now, guys. They are doing damage limitation for something that is about to be released. I don't know. Oh, hang on, guys. There's just been some breaking news. 19 minutes past. So what? Okay, so this is from the BBC, guys. Okay, breaking news now about Andy, about Andy Windsor. What we know so far, he shall now be henceforth known as Andy Windsor after losing his prince title. Buckingham Palace announced yesterday. he will now longer. I think that's a typo, guys. I think that's supposed to say he will no longer reside at the Royal Lodge. And he will instead move into a private property at the Sandringham estate. Right, okay, so he's still going to be living there. He's not going to be in an HMO. It's understood Andrew's accommodation will be privately funded by the king. All right, so, right, his brother's got him. I got you, bro. Don't worry. I got you. We'll put you in this little flat. Though he's no longer to remain a prince, Andrew still remains 8th in line to the throne. His 2 adult daughters, Eugene and Beatrice, will retain titles as princesses, while his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who also resided at Royal Lodge, will have to make their own living arrangements. Like, how is that even a thing? There's more to this, guys. Sarah Ferguson knows more. Sarah Ferguson knows more. So what we still don't know, how Parliament's spending watchdog will deal with its investigations into how public money was spent on Andrew, whether there will be further investigations into Andrew's behaviour via the Guthrie family. Oh, sorry, the Guthrie family. So Virginia Guthrie, who the lady who accused him, has called for him to be put behind bars. When exactly will he move out of the Windsor Mansion? The media has been waiting outside the gates this morning, waiting for any movement. If he'll get money back from the Crown when he moves out of his residence, like, how is he going to get money back? Like his money is our money. Like, we pay taxes and that goes to the royal family. It does, whether you like it or not. That money goes to the royal family. I don't know why, but it does. So he's going to get back our money. It doesn't make any sense to me. Our royal correspondent, Sean Coughlin, Sean Coughlin says it remains unclear. So that's breaking, guys. That's from a few minutes ago. So, right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, okay, if you're joining for the first time, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit those bell notifications down below, guys, because this is going to be the big, this is going to eclipse everything, guys, all right? When people get to the bottom, I usually do 3. Maybe it's just 2 today. I think it's just 2, yeah. Normally it's, normally it's 3. No, it's 2. So when this story finally, it was 3. Oh, hang on. There's another update coming, guys. There's just another update now. So there's an update now, guys. It's a break-in from 30 seconds ago. He's grown up thinking he can do whatever he likes. BBC listeners react to Andrew losing his title. Callers from around the world have been ringing in the BBC Radio Live 5. Sorry, guys. To share their views on Andrew being stripped. Anita in County Durham, one of the many callers supportive of the King's decision, describes Andrew's behaviour as arrogant, entitled, and selfish. I have sympathy for his daughters and grandchildren and the effect it's going to have on them. She tells Nikki Campbell, that's the only sympathy I have. So when you understand how these people have grown up, like the royal family, I think it was like Princess Anne. I think it was Princess Anne or somebody. She came to Connaught Barracks once when I was in the military in Dover. When she came to Connaught Barracks, 2 days before she got to the barracks, it was this ridiculous cleanup operation. Like, we had to clean things the likes nobody has ever seen before. So, for context, people had to get oily rags and wipe down Land Rovers so they looked like, you can imagine a military Land Rover. They're like a dull green, that don't reflect and don't shine, which is the way you need them. No. not our Land Rovers, not for when Princess Anne came. I think it was Princess Anne. So people had to go around with gun oil, wiping those down. So we had to, so they all look shiny and clean. The wheels on the Land Rover, yeah, boot polish on the wheels to make us, God forbid if the Princess Royal would see an off-road vehicle used by the military with mud on the tires. We had to go and get spray paint, green spray paint, and there was like there was a few patches where people had been walking to the cookhouse, and they'd been on the grass, and they just become, you know, there was no grass growing there. So guess what? Those had to be sprayed. Those had to be, that dirt had to be sprayed green. Again, God forbid. So these people they're detached from reality. They're so far removed from reality. It's unbelievable. Like I would like to put him in. I would like to put him in a HMO in Rotherham somewhere. There you go, Andy. Get yourself in that HMO. Live there for a couple of years. Live there for a couple of years. See what happens. Listen, guys, I do think this is the end to the royal family. When the information comes out, and I don't know what the information is going to be, but when this information comes out, I think this could bring down the royal family. Now, if we go back slightly to what Eric Weinstein was saying, you can imagine you can imagine the size of his, you can imagine whatever this information is, guys. Books do not bring down princes. And I'm going to say one thing further, guys, okay? If the royal family falls from this, you know that the government are hiding something scientific that is just beyond what anyone can comprehend with their sensory, with their six senses. Six senses? Do we have six senses? Yeah, we do. We have six, don't we? Taste. Taste's a new one. Taste the sense. April Lee is saying, I'm not interested in Andrew's, in Andy, you know, I'm not interested in Andy Winder's personal life. There are more important things to sort out. They don't pay my bills. April, was you on earlier when we was talking about how this has what Eric Weinstein saying that this has got something to do with science, gravity physics and science? This is going to be a lot bigger than people can comprehend. And if what Eric Weinstein is saying, and remember, guys, I know what field of science he's in, I think he's talking about zero. I think he could be talking about 0 point energy, gravity manipulation, and a total collapse of society. That's what I think could be behind this, guys. Somebody whose name I can't pronounce, I don't speak whatever language that is saying, do all roads lead to Rome? They do indeed. All roads still lead to Rome, I believe. Andrew is saying, put him in Eastwood. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Eastwood district of Rotherham is a very... It's a highly Muslim populated area. You don't usually drive through it unless you've got your windows up and your doors locked. And Debbie Doob is just saying the same thing. This channel gone gum big time. Stacey Hart, I know it is. Listen, guys, Stacey, I understand what you're talking about, Stacey. We all want nuclear bombs. Putin moves reigns. There's more stuff happening, guys. Okay, these are the little things that, you know. These are the little things, and you know, Stacey, with respect, you know, a lot of people don't understand what's really happening behind the scenes, and that's kind of one of the problems that people have in society. They don't understand the bigger picture. You know, they don't understand the bigger picture, and a lot of people have this hobbit mentality by, can't see it, never heard it, don't make no sense to me. Keep their nose out of things and they'll not come to thee. You know, people have this hobbit mentality. But, you know, let's think about the hobbits from the Lord of the Rings, all right? Yeah? In fact, you know what? Let's not go Lord of the Rings. I went Lord of the Rings yesterday. So let's just think about the Earth, Stacey. So quick question to you, Stacey. Stacey, and you're going to think I'm stupid asking you this question, but you know, I just want you to try and expand your mind a little bit. So Stacey, I'm going to ask you a question now. Do you think knows that a shark exists? Do you think that a lion knows a shark exists? I'm just going to leave it there, actually. I'm just going to leave it there. Four Paws are saying the Catholic Church has paid for migrants to have English lessons in Scotland. Parents are removing their children. Yeah, I saw this. There's like fully grown men going into like primary schools and sitting down at tables and having like lessons with like teachers. You're like, what? How is this even a thing? Slim is saying, I think this is all balderdash. I don't even know what balderdash means, guys. Let me Google what balderdash means real quick. Nonsense. Right, okay. Yeah, look, guys, a lot of people, yeah, I get it, guys. Listen, I totally understand, you know, and I totally understand, you know, and earlier on in the live stream, I said I don't usually go down these rabbit holes because it loses a lot of people. You know, and it does lose a lot of people. Now, there's nothing I can say to that other than, you know, I'll ask the same question again. You know, if you think this is balderdash, if you were to tell a lion, if you were to go up to a lion and say, mate, just bear with me, guys. For everybody who thinks this is balderdash, sorry. For everybody who thinks this is balderdash, all right, just bear with me a second and try and expand your mind a little bit. Open your mind and just be susceptible to different ideas, new ideas. If you went to a lion and said to him, hey, mate, you know that water over there? Yeah. You know, deep down there, there's all these fishes and stuff swimming around and there's like a whole ecosystem underneath there. That lion would say to you, balderdash, there's nothing down there. It's just water, what we drink. That's what you would get. Although some of the lions who had a little bit more of an expanded mind, who were open to new ideas and open to alternate meanings, they would say, oh, really? Tell me more. Explain to it more. But, you know, there'd be a certain set of lions who just shut it down. And I accept that, guys, and that's totally fine. Sherry is saying, off shot, Sean, have you heard about anything about Russians taking more of Ukraine? Well, do you know what, Sherry? Let me have a look at the war map right now. Let's have a look at the war map, and I'll give you an up-to-date analysis of what's happening. Yeah, it looks like they are so the Russians are now in that town of Pokrovs. It does look like there will be, okay, so my speculation, looking at the situation on the ground right now, guys, the town of Pokrovs will be gone by Monday. I'm looking at the situation on the ground now. The situation from yesterday, 29th, yeah, that's going to be gone by Monday, guys. Monday or before, the town of Pokrovs will be gone. Now, that town of Pokrovs was a key stronghold. A lot of drones were being launched from Pokrovs. They had a lot of infrastructure to do that. It was a huge transport hub because of the rail and the road networks into there. I think that'll be gone by Monday. Maybe even today. It may have even gone already. There's nothing on the mainstream yet, but I'm speculating. My analysis of Pokrovs right now in Ukraine is that will be gone by Monday. Their pincer is, so from the ends of their pincer to, let me get the ruler. So from the front end of one, no, it's not the front end. Let me remove that. Okay, so the pincer movement as of yesterday, because the map doesn't update, so you know the pincer movement, they've almost encircled Pokrovs. And the gap between their pincer is now, I'm estimating that to be 8.5 kilometers. So they've got 8.5 kilometers and they will have Pulgroves totally done. That'll be the end. And then the people in Pulgroves, it will just be carnage for those guys. So I would speculate now there's a lot of people trying to evacuate, although even that the main supply road east-west, that's going to be bombarded. What happens in these, so the Ukrainians will hold a town, the Russians will take a town, the Ukrainians will be told to hold that town, hold, until the last minute, and then they all have to extract. And when they all extract, that's when you get masses of casualties, because people are not extracting in good order. What I would do if I was in charge of the Ukrainian military right now, I would just pull all of my troops back. I would just pull all of my troops back to the other side of the River Dnipro, because there's nothing now. As soon as Pokrovsk falls, guys, there's nothing but open countryside. Nothing. I mean, there's a couple of little rivers, but they're easy to cross. I wouldn't even call them rivers. There's a couple of little natural choke points. There's a valley, but there's nothing really up until the River Dnipro. That's what's coming, guys. So I think very soon, I think by Monday, Pokrovsk will have gone. It will be in Russian hands. And then there's absolutely nothing then. There's nothing to stop the Russians pushing forwards, because the Ukrainians were not digging, they were not building depth positions. They've not been building depth positions. They've just been building forward positions. Now, the problem with just building forward positions is you have nowhere to fall back to. So if you get overrunning your forward positions, you're kind of at a loss, because you don't have that depth. You don't have that mutual support. And Devon to Preserve is saying President Trump's meeting with Putin and Zelensky was cancelled because Zelensky would not surrender. Yeah, and it's a lot more complicated than that. You've got to understand the. I might do a live stream straight after this, actually, guys. You've got to understand it's not as simple as that. Zelensky can't just go and give and say, do this, because his generals, his colonels, his company commanders, they won't pay attention. And that's the reality. In the United States, which Endeavour to Preserve is, in the United States, Donald Trump can give an order, and because the United States have a well-disciplined, well-maintained military, he will give that to, I don't know, in fact, he will tell Pete. Pete will then call in the generals. I love Pete, guys. I'd love to go drinking with Pete. I text my friend, actually. I've got a friend who's in the States, and he's like a couple of circles removed from Pete Hegseth. I said, listen, mate, I said, if there's a chance that I can get on the piss with Pete Hegseth, just literally call me. I'll be there within 24 hours. So in a functioning military, the military, the Donald Trump will say to Pete, he'll say, right, Pete, what do we need to do? Pete will say, right, we need to do X, Y, and Z. He said, right, do it. So then Pete will call in the generals. The generals will then tell the colonels. The colonels will tell the lieutenant colonels, or however you guys are structured. The colonels will tell the company commanders, and then it will be done. The Ukrainian military, it's a lot more complicated, because people are not structured like that. Donna is saying at the Standard, Israel carries out deadly incursion in South Lebanon. URL, Israel carries out deadly incursion in South Lebanon. Guys, listen, the whole world is going crazy right now. Slim is saying, my mind has been numbered by years of looking down dark, pointless rabbit holes. Flat earth, fairies, demons, aliens, reptilians, sovereign citizens. I don't know what that means. It all comes back to corruption, power, and money. Do you know what? Or maybe power, corruption, and money are all part of dark forces. Silly is saying, in Israel, a huge scandal broke to do with the IDF heads of the legal arm. Treason kind to do with fake video about IDF rape of Hamas in prison that was cooked and released by her to harm Israeli interests. You see, I don't know what, like, you know, at some point, and I'm not saying this is the case, what I'm saying here is at some point, I mean, I think we're there now, actually, you know, but at some point, certainly in the future, we're going to come to a stage where nobody knows what they're seeing nobody's going to know what they're seeing. I saw a video of Tommy Robinson while he was in Israel, and he's got a bald mate. I don't know what his name was. I think his name's Phil. I think his name's Phil or something. And there's this video of Tommy Robinson and Phil, and they're kissing, and there's like these rabbis dancing around them. And honestly, like, I didn't know that was like, what am I watching here? I think, like, what's going on here? But it was AI. Now, when you look at it back again, you're like, yeah, it doesn't really, yeah. When you look at it back again, you can tell. But what I'm getting at here is, at some point, we are not going to know what we are looking at. You know, there's going to be videos released and it's going to be real and people are going to say it's AI. Then there's going to be AI released and people are going to say it's real. You know, and the Phil guy, I think it's Phil with the bald head. I couldn't tell, sorry, that it wasn't Phil. When I looked at it again, the face that looked like Tommy Robinson, that, you know, you could tell after looking at it again, it wasn't him. But here's the thing. If you don't know who that Phil guy is and you don't know who that Tommy Robinson guy is, that is a legit video. That's two guys kissing and a load of rabbis dancing around them. So if we're watching videos of, I don't know, accounts of prisoners that say things have happened to them, how are you going to know whether that's AI or not? You know, one side's going to say, no, it's fake, it's a deep fake, it's AI. The other side are going to say, no, it's real, it's real, it's real. I mean, we already know that you get crisis actors, and I know how the crisis actors work, guys, because like when a news company goes somewhere and there's nothing to see because it's just an empty building, they're going to want to see people walking around. So they're crisis actors. Okay, so Slim. Okay, so Slim, I think it goes deeper than this, okay? So Slim is saying even the organ harvesting comes back to wealthy people wanting to stay alive and in power at the expense of the poor. So tell me what you, and I don't know the answer to this, Slim, but Slim, tell me what you do with that baby's body part. Like, how does that baby's body part help you, like, stay in power? It goes deeper than this, guys. Tommy Robinson having a bargain, 2 bags of, I don't know what that means. Hang on. So Donna here again is saying Al Jazeera is claiming that Lebanon's Aoun says army to confront Israeli forces. Army's ready. I can say that army's ready to confront Israeli forces after deadly incursion. Fiona is saying, Sean, would you consider doing a separate deep dive live stream into these darker topics? I would, Fiona, yes. They don't usually get as many views because people kind of want to turn off from them, and they don't want to consciously accept that these things are real. You know, so yes, I would. You know, normally people want nuclear bomb, Putin's new weapon. Donald Trump moves forces. You know, it's all pomp and pageantry. You know, I think the real forces here are what Eric Weinstein has said. That's why I repeated it. I do think it's all going to come back to gravity, physics, and science. You can't deny that Epstein brought in a lot of scientists. He was flirting with a lot of high-end scientists, a lot of high-rolling scientists, you know. And you've just got to ask yourself why. Why? I think this is a lot deeper, guys. I do think this is a lot deeper, a lot darker, you know. And like, you know, like what Eric Weinstein was saying there, you know, Epstein didn't know dimensional gauge theory, but the people who controlled him did. You know, he probably did, you know, and whoever that was, they knew self-dual Yang-Mills theory. Now, that is a very small group of people who know about those things, guys. This is like really advanced. Understand this type of physics, you have to understand a different maths. Yeah, there's a different maths. There's a different way to do maths. You know, so normally, like everybody does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you break that up to a multiple. There's another way to do maths, and to understand these new theories, you honestly, guys, it's like magic. It's more like aligned with magic, and people don't want to consciously think about it because they're like, I don't understand that. I want nuclear bombs. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. Yes, I am. I'm going to close this down now. I'm going to be gone. I'll be back on later today, guys. It is Halloween. It is Halloween. The veil between worlds is at its the veil between worlds, between realities, between dimensions is at its thinnest right now. You can feel it in the air. You can feel it in the earth. You can feel it in the water. So I'm going to go now, guys. I will definitely be back on this afternoon. I'm going to do a war update because there's been a lot of things happening. I don't think Pokrov's in Ukraine can last. I think it'll be gone by Monday. I think Monday, maybe before Monday. The Russians only have to close up an 8-kilometer gap and then they've taken Pokrov's. The situation, in fact, I've got a friend actually who's, I'll phone him later. You know, the Ukrainians can only hang on for so long. I think they're going to have to go. The royal family is in collapse. I think whatever is going to be released about the royal family, guys, it's going to be a lot deeper, a lot darker, a lot more wild than people can contemplate. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close you guys down. But don't worry, I'm going to be back on later. Yes, I am. I'm going to be back on later. Once I've got some Halloween bits, I'll be back on later to give you guys a global update, tell you guys what's been happening in the war front, and then I'll be back on tonight as well, our regular spot of 8 o'clock. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with me this morning. I know it was a little bit weird. Open your mind, guys. Expand them. Maybe alternate answers to the same questions. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave this there now. I'll see you guys later.